Creed 2. You remember when Creed came out, and I was sort of really astonished by the fact that there was life in the Rocky franchise, because after that, there'd been the Rocky Balboa film in which he came out of retirement for one last fight, and then you thought, this where can this possibly go now? And then Creed, which managed to pick up the story by picking up on the son of Apollo Creed, who tracked down Rocky to train him, and at first Rocky refused. Then they form a sort of bond. So it was a new way of taking them and injecting something new into it. And directed by Ryan Coogler, and it was really a really fine film, and really did well, and was very surprising, because I really had thought the Rocky franchise is finished. So now we have Creed 2. So Michael B. Jordan is back as Adonis Donnie, whose father was killed in the ring by Drago, fighter for the Soviet Union. And now his son...
I did like that voice.
Thank you. But it was the trailer, wasn't it? I am Drago, fighter for the Soviet Union, played by Dolph Lundgren. So now Dolph Lundgren's son, Victor, wants a shot at the title, and in order to do it, he'll have to go through Michael B. Jordan's character, Adonis. But essentially, Sylvester Stallone, having this sort of sense of history repeating itself, and having gone through all those years ago, isn't somebody who thinks this is a good idea. He doesn't think that having some kind of second generation grudge match is something that should be done. And suddenly, our two central characters are falling out.
But you don't think I could beat him? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm not going to be here forever.
And what's that supposed to mean?
It means you got to do some smart thinking.
Oh, you want to talk about smart decisions, Rock? You in this house all alone. Who been taking care of you? Me. I've been here for you. Who else you got? Listen. I'm taking this fight with or without you.
So what happened was, after the success of Creed and then Black Panther, which was, Ryan Coogler was tied up with that, this ends up being directed by Stephen Cable Jr. from a script by Stallone and Jewel Taylor. And on the one hand, the coordinates of the story are deliberately familiar, because there is an inbuilt sense of history repeating itself, of generational struggles sort of being revisited. But what the film manages to do after all this time, and it's remarkable, is once again to make old stories seem new, and to make old riffs seem fresh again. I mean, okay, there aren't in the first film there were some really, really astonishing moments, such as that fight which appeared to be played out in one shot, which was really kind of breathtaking. We were talking about this is weird, but there's a strange connection between that and Roma. Well, you don't have that, but what you do have in the case of this is, firstly, characters that you feel that you spend a bit of time with, you really care about, and that you're really invested in. Secondly, an arc which, yes, it's familiar, but on the other hand, it works because it's age-old stories being revisited. Are you now? Is your responsibility now to your family, or is your responsibility to the sport? Is your responsibility to the title? How is the baton passed from one generation to the other? How are the sins of the fathers revisited on the sons and the daughters? All that stuff's going on, and then you have the fight sequences. Now, I've said this before, and I was talking about this when I reviewed the Paddy Considine film Journeyman. I have never been to a boxing match, and I don't think I've ever sort of watched a boxing match on television. Not that I can think I have. I have seen many boxing movies, though. So all I know about boxing is from boxing movies. And I know other people who are real experts in this area, and I am not one of them. But there was a couple of moments during the Creed 2 boxing sequences that I started to turn into one of those old ladies that you used to see in the front row of World of Sport wrestling.
For the wrestling,
For the wrestling on a Saturday afternoon, going, yes, come on, just get them. That thing. And which is crazy, right? Because I don't have any of that kind of connection. But I've never been somebody who was.
You've never wrestled anyone.
I've never wrestled. I've never boxed. I've never watched a boxing match. And the wrestling that was on World of Sport was a whole different thing. I mean, it was all theatre, wasn't it? It was haystacks and all that sort of thing. But what that means is that the boxing sequences were working, and the reason they were working was firstly because they have a technical appeal to me, that they're well put together. But secondly, because you've got involved in the characters. And I was thinking about this. There's a couple of sequences in which, you can feel the punches being landed. And the reason you can feel the punches being landed is because you care about the characters upon whom the punches are being landed. So around the edge of the sort of the central, of the fight sequences, what happens is the construction of the characters. So Tessa Thompson is terrifically sympathetic as the girlfriend who has a musical career. In fact, I think that her character could have been developed more. There is a suggestion that there was more of her character at one point, and that has sort of slightly been trimmed down, which I think is a little bit of a shame. But the most important thing is that what you end up with is this sense of a family drama. And in just the same way, bizarrely, that Roma is about very different people who are connected because they, oddly enough, they share these experiences. In the case of Creed 2, it does exactly what that kind of drama would need to do, is that it makes you think that these are people that you know about, these are people that you care about, these are people that you can actually get involved with and invest in. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. It's quite long. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and at no point did I ever feel, oh, this is overstaying its welcome. I know at the beginning I did think, because funnily enough, I had to catch a plane, which I missed as a result of Creed 2 being longer than I thought it was going to be. But what's more significant is that I didn't notice that it was longer than I thought it was going to be, hence me missing the plane, because I was wrapped up in the drama. So I thought it was actually, I thought it had a real wallop to it, and I thought the characters were well done. And Sylvester Stallone does have that sense of, the wounded bear about him. There is something about, he was Oscar nominated for supporting actor in Creed, and I think he actually won a Golden Globe for Creed as well, didn't he? And, he does have that sense of somebody who just looks like they've been through the ringer, and yet they've still, what they've got inside is some kind of battered nobility, which I like. And I like the relationship between those two characters, between, the young upcomer and the old trainer. And I like the way in which, the baton is passed from one. And I just really like the way that the series has been completely reinvented as not being about Rocky.